Are you also annoyed by these airlines removing their award charts and switching to dynamic pricing for, award flights? Yeah, me too. But what if I told you that, and I don't like to be the bearer of bad news, but what if I told you that it's about to get a whole lot freaking worse? And this isn't just going to be on the point side, this is on the cash side of things. So I've learned a lot about dynamic pricing, and it means a whole lot more than just like, peak and off peak, or when you decide to check for, like, when you decide to try and book your flight, or what day you're flying on. Now, it means it's a whole lot more than that. There are layers to this thing. It's a whole lot. But it's going to get pretty bad, and they're going to be trying to charge people for flights on an individual level, and it's as bad as it sounds. Let's talk about it.
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Mike's Travels and Cents, where I go over points and travel strategies, and more importantly, how not to go broke while enjoying it all. Now, if that sounds good to you, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss future content like this. And if you found some value in this video, drop me a like to let me know. But with all that out of the way, let's get into the video. I feel like my voice transitioned to like my radio voice. But anyway, let's get into it. And so I'm trying to keep my cool because this is a little frustrating for me. So if you've been paying attention to the points and miles community a while back, very recently, I think it was like late April, you may have noticed that United actually got rid of its partner award chart. And, everybody was kind of like, okay, they're switching to dynamic pricing, sort of. What are they doing? Because we've seen award charts disappear, but then the pricing kind of not change too crazy. So everybody tried to keep their cool. But then literally the next day, we started seeing that their partner awards were 10% more expensive for point redemptions. And unfortunately, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You see, dynamic pricing, at least on the point side, isn't anything too crazy, and most people are relatively aware of it. We had Delta switch to dynamic, and it's had its pluses and minuses, but we've definitely seen Delta One redemptions via Delta SkyMiles become crazy expensive. Like, I would never try and redeem for Delta One using Delta SkyMiles. It's just not happening. And make no mistake, this is going to impact more than just us point earners and point enthusiasts, or whatever you want to call us, because in the very near future, possibly months or even a year, depending on how things pan out from this whole pandemic situation, we're going to see some pretty big changes in cash prices for airline tickets. And if you watch my older video on how banks make money, one of the things I did mention is that they make money by selling their consumers' data. And who are these airlines all conveniently partnered with? Credit card companies. You have Delta with American Express, you have United and Southwest with Chase, and you have Citi that's paired with American. So they have access to our data. So all this data that they have access to will ultimately be used to offer people individual packaged airline tickets, or airline ticket prices, however you want to call it. But it may extend to like, oh, you get this price and you get a check bag, or you get this price and you don't get a check bag. So they're going to be able to do this on an individual level. And yes, it's just as bad as it sounds. And this really started catching attention from people back in 2018 or so, but I'm sure the research and production of this algorithm, or however they plan on rolling this out, started significantly earlier than that. This individual data will ultimately be used to offer people individual ticket prices or ticket packages, because some cases it might be you get this price and you get a check bag, or you get this price and you don't get a check bag. And this whole development of targeted pricing or discriminatory pricing, or whatever, and not discriminatory in a bad way, but just discriminating on an individual level. But anyway, this has been getting attention since about like 2018, but it probably began production or research and development or whatever significantly earlier than that. And I don't care what these airline companies want to call it, whether it's like responding to market demands or, meeting the individual needs of our customers. No. The goal of any business is always going to be to get the most money for the least amount of expense. So don't give me salt and call it sugar. And this isn't me attacking the airlines as a business or whatever, because I know the point of any business is to make money, but hey, come on now. This is getting pretty gray zone for me. Right now, airlines use a technically simple but very rigid way of pricing airline flights. And fare codes and everything can be a separate video all on their own, but just know that each class of flight, so economy, business, first, they all have, set prices that they can be put at based on certain days, some numbers of seats on the plane, and a couple other things. But none of that stuff is based on you. It's based on other factors, like when the ticket is being viewed, not by when you are viewing the ticket. You see the difference? What they're trying to set up now is to essentially have it so that they have data on you and they know how much you're willing to pay for a single ticket based on data of, previous purchases or wherever else they can get from these credit card companies. And they are going to offer you individually a specific ticket. And no, you're not going to get a discount, even if they try and call it a discount. And now you may be starting to see the problem. They try and spin it as though this could be a way for them to offer discounts to individuals to kind of entice them into loyalty programs or whatever. But here's the thing. If the price is fluid, as in it depends on who's viewing it to generate a price, because these prices will be generated on demand, what is a discount really? If you charge somebody, let's say at 100% of the rate, and it's $500, but then you charge somebody else 120%, but then you say, oh no, we'll take 20% off. So they still end up paying the same amount as a person that paid 100% paid. Who really got a discount? If the price is fluid, there's no discount because you can set the price arbitrarily for something you just spin up out of nowhere. It just doesn't make any sense. Remember, in a perfect world, these airline companies would be able to fill up a plane and have every single passenger pay the most expensive possible price for their seat to generate them the most amount of money. And there's a possibility that if these OTAs or travel agency companies can't integrate to this new dynamic pricing system, that we may lose OTAs and travel agents. And what this may mean is that they won't have to pay travel agents to advertise their tickets. But will we see a drop in ticket prices? Probably not. Same as what we got with fuel surcharges. If you're looking for someone to blame, look no further than the ATPCO, or the Airline Tariff Publishing Company. It's a private company owned by airlines that's responsible for a lot of money making stuff regarding airlines, but the big one is fare prices. They're the ones responsible for the implementation and the dynamic pricing we already have, which is what they call adjusted pricing, which really lets them know if you're a business traveler or leisure traveler, so they can show you fares based on that. But this new pricing model goes even further, as it uses a lot more data to show you a price pool from some lower and upper bound. The frustrating part is that there's just really not much we'd be able to do about this outside of the FCC just shutting this down, because discriminatory pricing is obviously not looked at very favorably, because that's essentially what this is. But yeah, outside of the FTC maybe coming through and saving us, there's really not much we can do outside of, pulling the old web browser tricks, so going incognito or using a VPN. But ultimately, this means in order to start buying flights, if this actually goes through, you're going to have to spend an extensive amount of time to make sure you're not being targeted with some inflated price before you pull the trigger on buying a plane ticket. Right now, these airline companies are very desperate, with the whole pandemic, and history shows us that people make a lot of dumb decisions when they're scared. Look at the United. But it's really frustrating, and I really hope FTC comes through and looks out for us, because I could honestly see dynamic pricing coming to the point side, coming to the loyalty programs. And I think that will really start to be the death of the loyalty programs if you have this kind of discriminatory pricing going on, even on the loyalty side. And I don't want to speak in hyperbole, but I could really see that being like the downfall of this whole community. And I think dynamic pricing, continuous dynamic pricing specifically, would be the catalyst.
But that's all I have for this one. So as always, if you found some value in this video, drop me a like to let me know. And if you want to be sure to catch more content just like this in the future, you should definitely subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you're notified when I do upload. And as always, the only thing more valuable than your points is your money, and the only thing more valuable than your money is your time. But until next time, peace.